There we go. I realized that I forgot to change the game to Terraria, or to from Terraria to Rain World. But hello, welcome everyone to another stream. Just doing some speedruns. No creatures, because I want to actually enjoy the game. And also, I haven't really done many Rivulet speedruns on stream, so I figured I'd start with this. And the very beginning of Rivulet is kind of slow, so kind of good thing to start with, I think. Also, let me know if audio is good. I don't know if there's any effect on Rain World, but I just want to make sure because of the audio problems with Terraria. And I changed some settings around to make that work, so just let me know if there's any problems that may have carried over into this game. I feel like I've been in a kind of weird place with speedruns recently. So I do enjoy speedruns mostly. Rain World has pretty much been the only game that I've been interested in speedrunning at all. And I've, done a little bit here and there in like some other random games. Like, oh, this is a fun game, let me see how fast I can beat it. But I never really like try to look too much into the route or the like any skips or tricks and stuff. But I did do that for Rain World. And I actually like kind of tried to avoid doing an actual speedrun for a long time. Just because the whole ending of like a survivor speedrun, the ending sequence takes quite a long time. And I was like, well, I don't want to deal with that. So I tried like other challenges and stuff. And I've kind of gotten to this point where, I mean, I suppose I could do more like casual speedruns if I wanted to, without really trying to optimize it too much or going for like world records. Just like, oh, let's try out this category and see how fast I can do it. But I've kind of run out of categories to do that with. I've done all the story percent runs. I suppose like just like any percent runs or 100% runs left, but the any percent runs, I feel like a lot of them are very similar. Like, of course, like the other select have different starting positions, and some of them can't do any percent at all, like Saint. Well, it's like very different for Saint, but it kind of boils down to get to drainage system, get to filtration system, get to the end, right? And then the whole ending sequence is the same for all the select cats, other than a few differences in their movements. Where am I? Hello, welcome to the stream. Terraria modding's gone too far. At first it was Terraria was a Rain World mod, and now Rain World is a Terraria mod. But like most of any percent runs aren't that interesting. Some of them are like kind of okay. Like Rivulet is kind of interesting just because Rivulet is so much faster. Like everything is kind of sped up a little bit. Gourmand was fun, although also very difficult. See if I can do this. Okay, that was alright. For 100% runs, it's the opposite problem where there's like too much preparation required. I can't just say, oh, let's try out to do a 100% speedrun. There aren't jump storing. If I can do it, if I like getting the, or it's specifically jumps or turn storage to get the backflip. And it's like pretty rare that I actually get the turn storage. So if I do, then I'll go for it. But if I don't, I don't go for it. You know? But if I don't get it, I'm not gonna go back to get it. I'll just keep moving forward. But for 100% runs, you know, if I can't just like take a character and just do it. I have to like look into what the route is and all the things that are required for that run. There's so much more planning required for it. I can't just do it casually. Okay. I think I do a wall bounce there. I forgot about. And 100% runs in general aren't like that appealing. They just take too long and involve too many like random things. There we go. Although that's not great after that point. Like 100% runs involve taming lizards. Just like, okay, I didn't do that great. Like taming a lizard in the middle of a speedrun is like kind of annoying to me. You have to find out like which lizard to tame and what creatures you can feed it and a shelter that it can stay in. And then, oh, let's be careful here. And it's not just like taming a lizard. There's like a bunch of other random achievements that you need to go for and like plan. And sometimes you have to change your playstyle entirely, like with Saint or like Hunter passages where you have to like keep track of something. And they're also quite flexible runs. It's not like one route that you follow. Sometimes things don't go exactly as you expect. There's things that you can do to correct for that. With the wall paths is wild. It was quite fun to figure all those out. But that's fun too. Wish more people ran Reblit. Well, do I? Do I? I don't know. I think they have like some of the most interesting movement, especially in regions like Chimney where you can really make use of it. But yeah, 100% speedruns are very flexible. So you should like be very familiar with the route and like all the things that you need to do and keep track of it all. That if you miss a passage, you know what like detour to take to make up for it, you know? And I feel like that's just a level of dedication that I don't want to do for every single like 100% speedrun that I try out. And they're just long categories, which in general are kind of annoying. Whoops. Okay, that was kind of close there. Almost messed up. Throwable. Never mind. Lots of karma caching. Yeah, that too. Bunch of passages you can get by karma caching a bunch. Like Martyr, I guess is like kind of required. Karma cache. That's like by far the best way to get it because it is literally about starving. But then also like all the food related ones are easy to get with karma caching because you just eat and then karma cache and then eat and karma cache. You just repeat that. I mean, this run, the Rivulet 40%, it starts with like, whoa. Okay, goodbye. This run starts with a bunch of karma caching to get to Karma 5. I can't karma cache now. Well, that's just unfortunate. Speaking of karma caching, we have to do that again. And so, like, other than any percent and 100%, like, what other categories are there? Other than like really specific things like moon percent? Maybe I could look into those. I don't know. Stop the slide. I feel like a lot of categories that should be good have like a handful of problems that kind of make them awful. Like you can have a speedrun that is like otherwise really good in every way, but if there is like a point, like almost near the end of the speedrun where you have a 50% chance of just losing the run that is out of your control, then that just kind of sucks. Like 50% of runs are just dead for no reason that you can't do anything about. And there's a lot of moments like that in Rain World. Not just like one time and like the end of the run, it's like multiple points. But you also like aren't exactly sure what the percentage is, because usually it has to do with creatures. Creatures are very unpredictable unless someone wants to go out of their way to like run like multiple tests to see like how often a creature is to show up in some area. That seems kind of pointless though. Wouldn't mind seeing Pilgrimage for some other characters. You know, I did Rivulet Pilgrimage as like one of the first categories I speedran ever. And it was like, wow, this category is like actually really fun, and you get to play Rivulet too. So I'm sure that this is going to be a popular category. And then there's like 2 other people ran it ever. But sometimes I also forget that Downpour is DLC. Not everyone is going to have the DLC, even if they do speedrun vanilla. Because I was originally not interested in the Rivulet story percent at all. Because we weren't entirely sure what the route was. The route? Maybe I should just flip between the two. Because I thought you'd have to go through the rot a whole lot more. I mean, I guess you still have to go through it quite a bit. And that is kind of an annoying part of the run. But, you know, right after Downpour released, our impression of the rot was just a huge maze of just awfulness. It's like, okay, I'm not going to do a speedrun that goes through that area every time. And there, you know, a lot of other things that we hadn't discovered yet. I mean, I'm not sure if anyone else knew about this, but when I realized that you could go down the leg very quickly, because in the leg there's these like a handful of horizontal poles that you can grab onto. So the way you get down the leg is just you fall down like multiple screens and you grab onto that pole to cancel fall damage. And you get down the leg in like a minute. It's very fast. And I don't even think we like used that route to begin with. We went down like back down the wall or through like shaded or something. I find it crazy how long it took to kind of figure out what the actual route was. And even I got like a decent time without even going through Underhang. Well, it's still when leaving Pebbles, but entering Pebbles, I still used the wall route for a while. Going down the lake isn't something Danny's doing a traditional category. So there was just like never a reason to go down the lake in some other speedrun. Yeah, I mean the whole like exterior route around Pebbles is kind of like unappealing. If you can never go up the wall instead, the chimney canopy, that's always the preferred option. I think it's only really effective as well. Actually, what is it? Monk story percent. I remember. Ooh, that was pretty good. Just kidding. I suck. Yeah, what is monk percent? Or monk story percent? So you go to pebbles, you basically do a pebbles percent, and then you pick up some neurons, and then you bring those to moon, right? You don't go to moon right away, you have to grab the cloak first, but going from pebbles to moon, that's the same route as rivulet, right? I don't know if anyone has looked into if it's worth going down exterior as monk. But also, you know, monk is slower and you can't carry any other. You might have to like use a grapple worm. I'm not sure. I don't like any of the runs. It's actually a pretty cool category. Okay. But the thing is that I don't even know if doing those wall pounces right there, I don't even know if that's faster than just climbing up the pole. All threat themes. So some other categories that I thought of is there's some spots in the world that have like drawings on the wall, like next to an echo. There's like a drawing that's like there's an echo in this room, or that one bit in Underhang that tells you that there's a shelter. Apparently those were drawn by Spearmaster. So I thought, what if there was a category where we play a Spearmaster and we go to all of those locations that they supposedly drew those things. I'm gonna grab a bat fly here. And then for the music, I thought of, you know, some areas. Okay, I can't pick up items while holding a bat fly. So this game works very well. Yeah, I have no idea where all of the drawings are. I'd have to like look around for them. Rainbow percent? Like the rainbows in the background? But some areas have music that plays when you enter the region or when you just enter a specific room. I thought, like, what if you tried to get all of those songs to play? But also that kind of sounds like a routing nightmare. So to involve different characters, just like the all depth percent. If wall pounding had a slower speed requirement, would it change anything? Well, it's like really effective as Rivet just because their movement is busted. Wall pounces are like twice or 3 times as good as like any other characters. So if other characters could do wall pounces easier, I don't know if that makes much of a difference because they're still like very niche. Like it was pretty hard to find places to use them as Rivulet. Ah. Alright, thanks for stopping by. Just like the... Oh, that was almost bad. Well, I don't know if it's... I mean, I guess it suggests that maybe Spearmaster isn't the one who drew them, and it was something else. Because they do appear at the right time in the timeline, right? They're not there as Spearmaster, and then they are there as Artificer. If I'm correct about that. I mean, if that's the case, then I don't think that's exactly headcanon. Seems like pretty clear, especially since Spearmaster draws stuff in the sleeping screen. Yeah, there's also just like a ton of music in the game, so that would take forever. feel like most categories would be better if it was like, how fast can you do this one thing instead of how fast can you do all of these things in the game. That was pretty good. Oh yeah, endings. So any song that plays at the end of a campaign basically means that you have to finish that campaign. That's thinking not like every single song, but like just the ones with like specific trigger zones. Like if you enter a room and music starts playing, or if you like touch a specific location in the room, music starts playing, like those would be all the ones that count. Bad gravity timing. All characters 100%. You know, all characters like regular endings is already like a very scary category. I kind of wanted to try it. I don't know how like motivated I am for like more story percent runs. I might do it like with no creatures. Some music triggers are luck based. Can you like just go back and forth, like entering the room and leaving it, entering it again? Could you do that multiple times to get the song to trigger, or is it like only once per cycle? Does it have a chance of triggering? Per cycle? Yeah, that would be a problem then. Do wall pounces there, but if you miss, you might like die to the rot. Like the Senate goes all the way out there. But you know, for these story percent runs, I don't plan on just doing Rivulet. If I finish this run quickly, I'll probably try out Spearmaster or Saint. Like those would be pretty fun runs to do with no creatures. But I've kind of decided that I don't really want to be like too competitive with speedrunning anymore. Because for a while, I guess it was more fun at the start of Downpour when there were barely any runners anyway. It's like, oh, you can just do any category and get a world record. Isn't that cool? But now it's like, if you want a world record, in most categories at least, you have to like actually go out of your way to like learn the route really well and get a good run. It's like, of course, that's how the speedruns work, but there's a point where I feel like for Rain World, it stops being fun when you have to like just get lucky for a good run. Like, I feel like anyone can do a decent Artificer speedrun. The moment you... Oh, great. Like, for Artificer, you could just take shelters to be safe. And if you die a few times, like, who cares? And you can get a pretty decent run doing that. But the moment you're like, okay, Deathless run, the moment you choose to do a Deathless run, you save a ton of time by skipping shelters and by not dying, of course, but then you have to do a perfect run, and that's just like several times more difficult than just, you know, like, because I'm in the very last few rooms before the scavenger toll, you can take a shelter, and if you die, you like lose like 30 seconds. And maybe you die like twice and you lose a minute, like who cares? Because you'll eventually finish it and get a pretty good time if you're pretty fast throughout the rest of the speedrun. But then if you try to do it deathless, then you save that whole minute, and even more than that because you don't need to get food, you don't need to go to the shelter. But then if you die, then you have to restart it, and it takes another 20 minutes to get there again. Some categories are still free, yeah, that's true. But mostly it's like the ones that are left are the ones that don't seem that fun. Like some of the really long categories or some like challenges. Stuck in the corner there. I activated this too late. Oh, that's actually decent timing aim. You know, the dumbest category that I've ever done is gourmand with death percent. You want to know how to do that category? You start the campaign, you eat some food, which it's like some starts in your hand. You eat that, you throw up a bomb, and you blow yourself up. The chance of throwing up a bomb is like 2%, so have fun. But I have that, I've done that. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about like trying to go for world records, or even like finishing some runs. Like I guess I finished a like half decent artificer run, but I just didn't submit because I didn't really care. It's like, I mean, sometimes I feel like I get a decent run, but it could be better, and it's like, well, I don't want to just submit this run when I could do a better run and submit that instead. But then that better run ends up being like even more difficult. Of course it does. That makes sense, right? If Cheech and Scab is consistent? No, not at all. And maybe it is for some people, but not for me. In fact, in that Artificer speedrun I did, I lost a ton of time on the Scav King. I feel like they're just like inherently inconsistent because their armor, it just seems to take a random amount of spear hits to break. I don't know what's up with that. You would think, like I would think, that it's like, oh, 3 pieces of armor, so 3 spear hits to break it. But it seems like some spear hits just don't break armor. At least that's how it feels in my experience. So if there's a consistent way to like hit him with 3 spears and then an explosive spear, that would be great. But I don't think that works. But anyway, like, you know, if I don't care about trying to like be competitive with speedruns, or like getting world records or whatever, I feel like I should just like not really care about the rules either. That's why I've been doing these no creature speedruns. So I didn't really want to push for them to be on the leaderboards, or for there to be like separate no creature leaderboards, because that would just be way too bloated. There's already way too many categories, honestly. How small this community is. Essentially doubling the categories with like some runs being no creatures. So it's just like the thing that I like to do. It's the same armor as the same, it's not guaranteed to get destroyed. Yeah, that just kind of sucks. Ow. I'm still not good at this room. And I find these no creature runs to just be way more fun. Like, look at this. I mean, I did die once. That was just my own mistake, but only 30 minutes in, and I've made it to like to memory crypts. And I think it's just cool to be able to like play the game and like get to the end and knowing that you're actually going to be able to make it to the end. You never know with this game. I know that some streams I've done, I tried to do some speedrun and I never got out of outskirts or something. Okay, that's fun. I think it's gonna turn off right there. RNG is interesting with this game because on one hand, it makes speedruns a lot more annoying. It takes like a lot more attempts to get lucky, to get that good run, you know? But also, if there was no RNG, I think there'd be an expectation for runs to be perfect, you know? Suddenly the skill ceiling goes way up because you know that you can go for the perfect strats because it's just like your skill getting in the way and not anything random. Six offloads Riv, honestly, be good. I prefer this over the Mirror Spurs, so you could just jump over half of it. Ow. And story for that would be like 40 minutes. Isn't it like over an hour? Like, if there is no RNG, you might as well go for the perfect run, you know? And suddenly, like, you have to spend so many more attempts on just, like, getting that good run, because, you know, the harder it is, the more difficult it'll be, or the longer it will take to get that good run. So it's basically just a new type of RNG based around your skill instead of random stuff. And that's kind of a nice thing about Rain World, where, you know, you can make mistakes at a run and still get a good time relative to other players, you know. Like, I know that if I do an Artificer run and if I die to Scavengers a few times, I could still get a world record because it hasn't been, like, perfectly optimized, you know. You have room to make mistakes. And you know that the more difficult the run is and the more random stuff that is in your way, that is something that everyone has to deal with. So if you... So you're saying you could save an hour without RNG? If like, creatures get in your way... Oh, why am I going in here? If creatures get in the way and you have to wait around for a minute for them to clear out, you know that everyone else who runs the category also has to wait for those creatures to move out of the way. Or maybe they don't have to wait, and they'll get lucky and the creatures don't show up, but maybe somewhere else in the run the creatures will show up for them, but not for you. So like, everyone is equally slowed down by RNG, but also it's like slightly more annoying for everyone. And then the moment you want to actually push the world record and go for the good times, you're like, okay, well, a perfect run doesn't have any bad RNG, right? And now you're just like doing attempts to get lucky. Funny enough, actually, Rivulet story percent is actually one of the least RNG categories. Also, these jetfish are immune to the mod for some reason. Rivulet has some bad spawns in Drainage System and Chimney Canopy, but like that's pretty much it. Like there's a few DLLs in like Underhang and Exterior that are kind of annoying. And then like a few creatures here and there in Submerged Superstructure, and that's kind of it. Like, this is actually one of the easier speedruns in terms of RNG and creatures. Just kidding. I don't know if I've ever seen that Aquapete just chilling right there. Of course, I probably could have done something to avoid it. Whatever, we'll just keep going. I think that well, maybe it's something to do with these rooms being new, except the jetfish weren't affected either. I have no idea. Just remember that Sonic Construct doesn't work with this mod. There's still creatures there, but I assume that whole area still counts as shoreline, right? Come on, potentially left troll lizard there. Whoa, slow down, dude. No, I don't think it's intentional. It's the whole region that's affected. It's not just like one creature that's there to be annoying. Yeah, I still kind of like the idea of an event for the speedrun community, where we pick one category and then for like the next week or maybe the next month, I don't know what the time interval would be, but for the next something, we would all play that category and try to see who can get the best time. Because right now, and I guess for this entire game's life, the community's been very split between categories. Like there's like a handful of runners per character, essentially. Of course, some people are gonna do like all sorts of categories, but sometimes there's like someone who specializes. But what if we could just say like, hey, this category, everyone focus on this category, let's see how much we can optimize it. And if I could make the event, then I would say that the, I don't even know what that number is. $1 trillion? I would want the event to do like no creature categories. Because like I said, you know, it would be too much to make every category have a no creature version. But if we just picked one, then like one category, this is the one that we're all focusing on, plus there's no creatures. That's not just about grinding for the perfect run. And so that people can actually enjoy the category. Although, yeah, I don't know how people feel about no creature runs in general. Maybe some people are like very much against it. Kind of like the open gates / no karma requirements. Some people would really like that, but some people really think it needs to stay. And also, if we were to do an event like that, then there's kind of an advantage to whoever already does that category or character. If we ever do a rivulet category for that event, then I might have a bit of an advantage. And I don't know how many other rivulet runners there are, but I feel like it's not that popular of a category. If it was like a hunter category, then there's a handful of players I know that kind of specialize in hunter that they would definitely do the best out of everyone. So is it really like a who can do this category the best, or who is already best in this category, or a similar category, so that the skills kind of transfer over? But obviously, we wouldn't pick something exactly the same. Maybe we would, I don't know. I'm always scared of that one tentacle reaching up. Troll percent, no one intentionally does it. I unintentionally have a troll percent world record. Maybe I don't. So I don't immediately go to Sonic Construct. Also, I forgot how to do this room. What's troll percent? There's, well, what I assume it is. Talking about the same thing. Please, go down. There is a lizard in the entrance to Sonic Construct that always trolls me. Because they don't kill me most of the time, but they're always in an annoying position. So they usually slow down the run. So I called them the troll lizard. It's a blue lizard. I assume that troll percent would be dying to that lizard. Or maybe just getting trolled. Like you wouldn't die, but you would. I mean, I don't know how you would like. What would count as getting trolled? I don't know if it's an actual category. This now. So we're actually past the world record time already. I assume mostly because of that death. Maybe I'm just like not doing as well as the other run. It would have been slower anyway, even if I didn't die. Oh yeah, the karma flower is here. Guess I'll have to pick that up again. Kinda don't like having the refraction cell on in this room. So you have to like keep bonking your head on the ceiling. Halfway through that gate opening, I decided to go for a slide pounce. So will I die immediately to an aquapede again? Find out next time. I still don't even know if it's a good idea to activate the refraction cell here. I think it might actually like slow you down a bit because it feels like using the refraction cell is pretty similar to the speed of swim boosting constantly. And you get air pockets often enough where there's no penalty to swim boosting. Jet boost. I think you can use the refraction cell to jump up to that platform from the left. Okay, it is. Spend a little time eating that. But you know, what I maybe should have said a long time ago. Because I'm not really interested in doing these speedruns competitively anymore. Can you really say competitively? It's not where I died, but it's probably the last place I touched land because I've been underwater for like, or this whole section is underwater, so it doesn't count. But I died to the aquapede. And like the room where the aquapede is, they were like camping the exit of the pipe before that. But I kind of enjoy doing these no creature runs where I'm just focusing on movement. I might do these more often because, you know, before it was kind of like doing the no creature run as practice for the real run. But I don't know if I want to do the real one after that. I still kind of think about that, trying to improve the world record run for Rivulet. because, you know, I learned all of those like wall pounce strats after the world record, and also that run still had like plenty of mistakes, you know. But that took a very long time to get that run, like hundreds of attempts. Well, I don't know if that world record specifically took hundreds of attempts, but overall I've spent hundreds of attempts on Rivulet. It's kind of a dull category to restart a whole bunch. So you have to start with like a few minutes of karma catching. Okay, please. So if you really want, oh, great, jellyfish. There's a reason I don't swim there, and I forgot about that reason. I said earlier in the stream, oh, it would be cool if more people ran rivulets or not. Maybe it wouldn't be cool if more people did this category. And I still don't know how to feel about that. If I want to encourage speedrunning this game specifically. If you want to speedrun Rain World, go ahead. It's fun. But also sometimes it's not fun. And I don't want to push, I don't want people to feel like they're pressured to go for like world records and do like a bunch of attempts, because it can be like very draining. It's like, hey guys, you should come join us in speedrunning. It's definitely very fun and not like very exhausting sometimes. And if the reason to encourage speedrunning is to get more people to like, or like get more potential players who are like good enough to get world records and stuff, then that is kind of what you're expecting of them, to like put in that number of attempts. And maybe there's some people who have done speedrunning before in other games and they're kind of used to doing a lot of attempts. I've seen some speedrunners who have like tens of thousands of attempts in some game. It's like, oh wow, okay. Like, I only have like 200 attempts in some categories, and these people are doing like hundreds times, like so many more. Okay, I think the game broke. Gorman story percent. Yeah, the game did die. This is another reason I really was annoyed by this category. Because I lost a lot of runs to the game crashing. As in like 3 runs, but it felt like a lot for how many attempts it took to get the... This is what I was talking about earlier with the... Well, not exactly, but it does count as the... Gets at the very end of the run and then lose to a 50% chance that it's out of your control. When does it crash? Right when you try to open up the game after exiting out of the art cutscene. Does it invalidate the run? It doesn't, but it slows you down a whole lot. Because it, even though you have a karma flower, we get a karma flower for that moment specifically. It lowers your karma level anyway, so we need to basically spend a cycle getting that karma level back, which takes like an extra minute. So it's like you roll like a 50% chance on if you lose a minute at the end of the run for no reason. I mean, I guess I can't really expect this to be fixed because it's already unintentional, I think, to exit out there. Like, they don't want you to exit out there. Why should they patch a bug that only happens when you do it? You know? But I would really appreciate it. I'm still kind of surprised that there hasn't been like any updates at all in like several months. I guess they've been focusing mainly on the console stuff. Just didn't want to throw the spear there. If I get lucky with the spear in this room. Yep. You lose even more time if you do this. I know that I want to hold on to the spear, but I didn't actually try to like not throw it for some reason. So all this that I'm doing right now, this is what you'd have to do if the game crashes. With the new update. Oh, I don't know. I didn't see any recent updates. But I mean, that crash still happened. Maybe it's some weird combination of the mods that I have enabled. Yeah, I thought that update was quite a while ago. Oh, I got stuck up there. Alright, well, that's the end of this run, but I have a question for you guys. Would you like to see a Spearmaster run or a Saints run after this? Those are the ones I'm considering. Yeah, some of those regions, I mean, I've seen other players struggle with that, where they... Oh, wow, okay, everyone's saying Spearmaster. Yeah, this should be good. Artificer. Artificer doesn't even work with no creatures. It would be nice. Kind of wish there was a good speedrun that used Artificer, but that didn't require you to carry around scavengers or deal with scavengers at all. Oh, did the game crash again? I mean, it's because I immediately ended or like right before that, starting that run, I ended the Rivulet run early. Insensibility, yep. Also, I don't even know if I remember the route, so I might get lost. Okay, already doing great. Kind of strange to go straight from Rivulet to... Straight from like one of the fastest characters to one of the not fastest characters. Okay, I'm very good at this game. An explosive spear down there. Just hanging out. Never really get to do that. There's no rocks that spawn in this early area. This might be the only place in the whole game where rocket spears don't spawn naturally. I don't know if I can think of anything else. Game freezes whenever you enter the room. I like when the game freezes when it loads in a new song. Also, I don't have DevTools on. You know what? Actually, I have another solution. Normally, at the beginning of a Spearmaster run, you would find some dropwigs. There's plenty of dropwigs in the room next to that shelter. Aquapede. I just needed to find something to get food from. Yeah, I still have a lot of problems with lag. Usually in the new like downpour regions, just like frame rate is just like not great. And sometimes there's also points where the game freezes for like a fraction of a second, just for no reason. Just feels like it. So I think that this is all the karma I need. So if I remember the route correctly, we go to Pebbles, then down through Underhang, then over to Moon, then back. We're gonna soldier. I would die. I would just do Pebbles %, except with no like awful creatures out to kill me. Very peaceful. I think that the speed requirement for wall pounces is like not important at all when you can just do a pounce like that. Should generate a spear there. Okay. Kinda close. Can I do an EA hop here? Sorta. Wow, do you see that? I was holding 2 spears at the same time. What a powerful ability. Uh-oh. Only 2 spears at once, probably the most powerful ability of all the downpour slug cats. Wow, look at that. You can do that as Rivulet too. There's a lot of wall punches you can do right here. You know, this category that I never really tried to look into, or that I never did on stream, is the Pebble percent run, but as Rivulet instead of Spear, or instead of Survivor. That was the run I actually wanted to do for the speedrun event. Well, it kind of got replaced with the Rivulet Story percent run, but I'm kind of fine with that because I happened to also find a bunch of wall pounces in that run too. But the Pebble percent as Rivulet was the first run where I really found the potential of Rivulet's wall pounces. Okay, never mind. I get here fast enough so that the song doesn't have time to play. You can also do wall punches in this room. I think I was fast enough. Pretty sure the song that usually plays there has a 100% chance of playing. Unless another song is already playing like that one. Okay. No wind chimes. Nope. No, I always take this route now. I don't even know if it's okay. Maybe it's probably slower if you fall like that. It usually feels safer because there's usually a ton of creatures on the other side there. Maybe I should have let the music play. So quiet, Chimney. Wins that MP3. You can do a wall pounce like that. Using a throw boost to meet the speed requirement. I think you can use it in another section up here. I've not learned how to do that. Oh, wow, that actually worked really well. No yellow lizards? You mean scion lizards? They're all scion here. You know, I think for this run I would usually go out of my way to get a vulture mask, probably in Chimney. But that's just not important anymore, so that's like a double time save. No creatures plus no mask. I always feel like in these categories with hunter spawns, it's pretty much always worth it to try to get a vulture mask if you're going through a lot of dangerous areas. Like you can do a wall punch right here. Let me see if I can do it. Okay, no. I don't know what the inputs are. Overseers are still here. Just do constant vault. I'm amazed that people do those consistently at all. Because one time for the Slug King map, I used a macro to do them easier, and they were still difficult, even with the macro. Okay. I guess some people you can just do them whenever. So I really don't like that jump there. Like getting that wall jump is really awkward. Oh, I wonder where these poles went. Oh no, scavengers up here. That's also nice. Difficult with the macro. Basically what I did is I set it so that some other key or acted as the jump button. So I had two jump buttons essentially. I don't know. I don't really remember how I did it, but it made it easier to press all the keys at like close to the same time. No pole plant here. And I have tried to do or set up macros where it would just do the sequence of inputs, but they were never really consistent at all. Maybe I was doing them wrong. I think it might have something to do with Brain World's kind of weird frame rate. Please. Just do a backflip there. It's a lot easier. Yep, definitely want to drop that rock. There's still a bit of RNG that could really mess this run up. If you're familiar with this run, you may know what I'm talking about. Okay, here's the weird thing that happens when nighttime when you're in this room. The next room might be very dark. Yep. It just suddenly becomes very dark. I don't remember the layout of this room. I forgot to render this one, sorry. Isn't that a thing from in? So this is actually probably the hardest part of the run without creatures. So this is very random where I will go and where he will drop the pearl. If he stays in that spot, this might be good. Please move. Okay, that was almost close. You know, this category, this Saint, or yep, this is Saint. This Spearmaster run, I remember saying back when I was doing like attempts of the actual category, if it's too difficult, then I'll just do the one risk passages instead. Because you know this pearl that we have to carry around, it's a big part of the run. We need to bring it all the way over to Moon and then all the way back, and then over to Sky Islands. And that takes a while, but it's also a lot of backtracking, so passages would be useful. Except since you can't put the pearl in your stomach, you can't passage with it without a specific remix setting turned on. And so for the story percent category, you're not allowed to have that setting on, so you have to bring the pearl around. But there's also a separate category where passages are allowed. I don't know what the category is called or if it's even a thing that people have done. I don't know if I should try that category. I mean, I don't even know if I want to touch Spearmaster again. But it would save a lot of time and pain from the run. So do I remember where to go here? I think you go down here. Please. And then we go over here. If you're moving down and you try to pick something up, you end up just dropping the thing that you're holding. It's probably a spot you can jump downwards where you won't run into anything. I don't know if it's this spot. Cool if it was. Okay, I guess I was right. Just kidding. It's funny, when you're in 0G, things that you throw kind of have this upward arc. I think it's because you always throw things with a little bit of upward force to make up for gravity. Because if you throw it completely straight forward, then gravity immediately pulls it down and it just hits the floor. So you have to throw it upwards a little bit, and then it kind of stays level to the floor for a bit longer. It stays close to the floor for a bit longer. But in 0G, of course, there's no gravity. It just stays with that upward motion the whole way through. Tiny pebbles eating neurons. You know, you said you had good ideas for new categories, but all the categories you've mentioned so far seem like they'd be really annoying. I mentioned earlier that I feel like if I want to do some sort of unique category, that I'd prefer if it was do this one thing instead of do all of this, you know? So the moment you have a category like that, it's like, it becomes like multiple hours long. So there may be inspectors in this room, which means that I should be nice to the neurons. I remember that happening in one run. Maybe it was in Moon, actually. One time I got attacked by inspectors, and I think it was because I accidentally hit a off-screen neuron. think that would only be a problem if I threw my own spears, right? Because those would destroy the neurons, but otherwise they aren't affected. That was not good. Okay. Probably a better way to do a lot of these rooms, but I haven't really tried to optimize pebbles too much. That's a pretty good way to do this room if you could throw more stuff. Oh, explosive spear, hello. Dragon Slayer? Well, that's another, like, go, like, kill all the lizards, you know? I mean, if it's just for the passage, then it doesn't involve every lizard. It just finds some combination. Some area where there's, like, 6 different lizards, I think. Maybe that would be interesting. But also, that kind of makes me think, is there any categories that involve getting a single passage that would be interesting? Any, like, individual passage speedrun? I have enough food. You know, I'm not full on food. Unless you mean that Pebbles fills you up to 5 pips instead of 10. I think any area with hunter spawns would be pretty good. If you can get like a cyan lizard, white lizard, pink and blue lizard. You can probably find that in like industrial, right? But it's not too far to get a mole lizard from there or a green lizard. Maybe a caramel lizard too. Pose as in. Now I don't. I might know where to go. How many points percent? So just a score run? Just go for score from the start. So we're approaching a part of the run where I'm still not great at. Okay, a little bit of a gamble there. And it's grapple worm movement. Why I still have this mod enabled. Normally there would be a grapple worm right here. This room is usually awful. There's like a dropwig, a cyan lizard, a spitter spider, probably something else. Running other games. Hardest challenge yet. It's one jump. Goodness. I have plenty of time. I might be able to make it to Moon from here. Celeste. Celeste might be interesting. Although, like, who cares about me if I speedrun it? There's already plenty of really good runners out there. And it's also like a super popular speedrun game. Flash game archive thing. Just like look at a bunch of Flash games that I used to play, and I wanted to I'd go and look for like world records in those games. And sometimes, you know, the world record like isn't perfectly optimized, and I'm like, you know, maybe it wouldn't be too hard to get a good run in this random Flash game that no one has played in like 5 years. I kind of want to stream some Flash games. I don't know. We'll see about that. Okay, didn't want to fall down there. I hate this jump. Okay. You just really have to delay the grapple. You're pretty close to grabbing the next platform. The one you can't grapple across? Yeah. Terraria. No. Terraria is a really weird game to speedrun. It's like very RNG, but also like maybe not. Okay, we're actually have plenty of time in the cycle. A little bit worried about that. It just kind of starts to rain here all the time. Wait, don't do that. That's a bad idea. This area also kind of sucks. There's like a white lizard and a dropwig and probably more than that. It's just all kind of annoying. There's always dropwig camping right here. They're a pain to get rid of. And the gravity starts getting weird here. I don't think it really matters which one shelter you take, so you're gonna have to take the other shelter. But also, you know, I never really wanted to focus on speedruns. It just, you know, speedrunning Rainbow seems kind of interesting, and it's also like a pretty easy thing to do for like, or an easy idea streams. I kind of want to maintain a pretty consistent stream schedule, so it's like, oh, I don't know what to do, I guess I'll just do a speedrun, you know? I can just do like the same speedrun attempts multiple times. Whereas like for other streams, I might have to come up with like a new idea every single time. Now, can I remember where to go? Maybe not. I don't know. Not really a fan of the cycles here. I wait for that thing to turn off, or you jump up, or else it's way too dangerous. Hello? You're just gonna not grab onto any of those? If I ever find some other like games that I might be interested in checking out the speedrun of, I may do that. Oh dear, I may have overshot it. Oh, actually, I don't think so. This pole's a lot longer than I thought it was. Room where you can't see anything. You know, I just realized I went through all of Pebbles without getting Neuron Light at all. Pizza Tower. You know, probably the most fun that I've had with Pizza Tower is speedrunning War. That's probably my favorite level. And I tried to speedrun it. Just individual level. Oh shoot, which way do I go? I think up. Yeah, up. My stream looks like the one submerged. I wonder why. I think that speedrunning the entire game, Pizza Tower, would... It's just like too long. It's just like a lot of stuff to memorize. You like have to memorize every single room and the movement that you have to do in them. Like individual levels, like speedrunning that one level was a lot of fun, but it also took a very long time. And doing that process for every single level in the game, I don't know about that. And also just like collecting stuff, like the toppings were kind of annoying. If it was just like gets to the end of the level and then returns to the start, I'd probably like it more, but you actually have to go out of your way to look for toppings, and like a bunch of them are just like all in the past and you just get them without even thinking. I kind of don't like the idea of having to memorize those locations and going out of my way for them. Because if it was just like gets to the end of the level, I could probably do that without too much preparation. I got the sound effects here. Why did you change direction? I was just holding forward that whole time. Oh, there's a Neuron Light. Sorry, Moon. Can't really bounce those two pearls up. Hey, read this pearl, and then get me out of here. This is another interesting part of the speedrun, as in not interesting at all, because we just sit here and wait. I don't remember exactly how long, maybe like 3 minutes. Nickname for Moon? How about Moon? You know, one time I got a really big wall pounce. Might have been just like the one I did there. Because I think that the height that you get from a wall pounce depends on your speed. And maybe like if your like head kind of like whips forward and then you hit the wall, that counts as being faster when doing the wall pounce. Pebbles to Pebsy. Moon is already very short. Okay, honestly, all like the weird like nicknames and like just like the weird names that everyone has for the stuff in Rain World, I don't really like it. You may notice that whenever someone says Scug in the chat, I translate it to Slug. I don't really like those names, but I mean, I don't care if you guys say that. I'm not gonna say it out loud. I'm just gonna refer to the names that I'm used to saying. He's on racing games. There's one racing game that I really like and I want to play on stream. Other than that, I don't like them at all. Well, I can't say I don't like them at all. Like I've played like Mario Kart like a few times. It's like all right, you know. I don't know how much Mario Kart counts. It's mostly like uninterested, except for that one game. Oh, time save? That actually does save time if you throw the pearl up there. Because usually it has to float all the way up there. What is she busy doing? You know, I kind of wonder, while the iterators are like dying, it's like Moon right now or Pebbles during Rivet's time, do they still care about solving the problem? Are some of their like systems still focusing on that? And what about Moon after Rivet's campaign? Like, what are they still doing? Like, does she get like partially revived and she's like, all right, time to keep working on this problem? She seems to be focusing on something. Oh, yeah, she plays board games with Pebbles. But surely not the entire structure is focusing on playing games, unless they're like super optimizing it. Like playing every single possible chess game. That's why I like to stick the pearl or the spear there, because then you can line up with this pipe and grab the pearl. Well, surely not until Saint, because Pebbles is like very dead at that point. That's kind of sad, actually, if you think about it. If they like keep playing these games, and then Moon realizes that like Pebbles keeps getting worse and worse. So it's like not fair at all, and like Moon wins every time, and it's like, wow. love this room. I like being able to see at all. I don't like being here. Actually, I can just go up top. I just forget about this path. Just kidding. I can fall all the way back down instead. Just on purpose. I don't know. Maybe their like communication systems broke down before that point. Viper. And at that point, if Reboot is still around, then Moon trains them to deliver like the just like to communicate between the two, I suppose. Okay. I feel like that always happens when I'm in this room. I almost always die. Or I always almost die. My theory is I'm capable of feeling boredom. A little worried about food for a second, but I realized Moon just takes care of that. Why did I throw that spear? I use it to throw a boost right here. Oh, other spear. Bring 5 neurons into the chamber. I think there's like a few neurons floating around in that room, right? As we revealed it. Or maybe as more of that area kind of fell apart. A few like rooms opened up and a few more neurons could kind of come together. Guy's still alive. It's only been a cycle. I kind of want to try like throwing the pearl and doing an extended slide with a other item, but I don't think that works out. Don't throw the pearl far enough. Okay, I actually almost remembered the room correctly. That was intentional. I can never remember which platforms are the one you're supposed to grapple on and which times are you supposed to go the bottom route. So every single room looks exactly the same. That was close. So fell the... Okay, I think I'd go down here. No, that definitely is worth it. You know, Downpour kind of talks a lot about, well, it doesn't talk about anything at all, but it kind of has this theme about like rejecting the ancients' ideas. Because the ancients were kind of like obsessed with trying to ascend because of the not greatness of being alive. And the Downpour is like, what if it is actually like all right, you know? What if you can't just like enjoy being alive sometimes? So like that's what Gourmand is about. That's what the one ancient, or the one Echo, also ancient as Saint, talks about. Like most of the endings aren't revolving around ascension, you know. There's some other thing that counts as an ending, like the Outer Expanse endings or Revealed and Spearmaster endings being with the iterators. And I feel like the Moon and Pebbles playing games, and these like board games or whatever, it's kind of like it fits along with that, you know. Like maybe like Pebbles has already given up. Well, he already gave up with the experiments of like trying to, you know, the experiments that ended up in the rot. That was when he basically gave up with the whole trying to ascend thing, or whatever the solution would be. And Moon probably like was like in not a great state to continue those either after the collapse, even with the extra refraction cell. Like, she still says that she's like still disconnected from the main structure, and so playing games, it's like kind of like hanging out, is kind of their, you know, their ending. Like maybe we shouldn't like try to focus entirely on this whole ascension thing or great problem. It's hard to say if ascension or something ascension adjacent is the solution or would be the solution, or if any solution to the problem is like completely separate from like the void sea. I don't know. I'm never gonna get that correctly. Or this like spear pen. Oh, can I actually make it back up there? There we go. Not good at this room. Whatever, made it through. Table all creatures except grapple worms. I guess grapple worms are usually the creature that I spawn in for the Rivulet and Spearmaster. I guess I could try those out, considering that this mod that I'm using doesn't work entirely as I would want it to. I mean, I'm kind of just lucky that I found a mod that works like this at all. As with every grapple worm section, could have been better. It always could have been better. Keep that away. Oh, I actually know that. I know that about that mod. I guess I didn't think about disabling every single creature. Ooh, this is kind of close to the end of the cycle. I might have to take a shelter anyway. I'll read all that in the gate. I guess I'll shelter here. Probably make it to the next one, but it doesn't really matter which one I take. They're both pretty close. I also have no idea what the time scale is at all. Still for Rain World. You know, cycle could be like just one day, which could be shorter than our days. Or it could be like a whole week or like a year, you know. And who knows what the time between Rivulet and Saint is. Like that could be like a few years. Although that's probably way too low. Is it just like a few decades or a few thousands of years, you know? Or even longer than that. Yeah, it's getting close to the end. You can actually see how close it is to an hour. Even with no creatures. I mean, there's a few parts here and there where I probably could improve the run and maybe some different routing too. I think that going through unfortunate development would be a lot better. Although more dangerous. And even here, like, we're still pretty close to an hour. So getting a sub-hour run with creatures sounds kind of awful. Don't fly too far. Goodness, that's just about as close as it could have been. Also, about that thing of like you either ascend or exist forever, it's kind of hard to say that that is exactly how it works because we don't know what exactly the like cycle is or what like the whole process of like returning / reincarnation. What if you like return as some entirely different creature with entirely new memories? Maybe like the ancients were intelligent enough for that to not happen, or like they did remember. I assume they have to because like that's the whole reason they're aware of the cycle in the first place. But maybe there would be a point, maybe if they die of old age, where they would reincarnate as an entirely different creature with new memories, and at that point they would never have the experience of living for thousands of years, just like distinct chunks of like 100 or so years. And for the iterators, it probably is that very long amount of time. What it's like if you're doing a speedrun and like a king vulture just showed up and killed you right here. Alright, there we go. 57. Actually, like, not as close as I thought it would be. So that's only like 3 minutes. Also, this kind of bothers me. Or does it? I don't know. I feel like the camera moves way too fast here and it looks like everything is smaller than it should be. Like the clouds are just like a little bit higher up, and then, I don't know. The scale looks kind of weird. Yeah, we did all that for one unlock that I didn't even get. Okay. Just like that there's these kind of gameplay cutscenes. Yeah, I guess it's not a thing in vanilla. It's just I mean, like, most people don't care. You know, like Downpour could have stuck a lot closer to the feel, or the exact feel of Vanilla Rain World to try to like stay as, sure exactly how to describe it, but like Downpour kind of has these elements of that kind of make it feel like more of a video game, and obviously it's Rain World is already a video game, but it tries very hard to not feel like a video game, to be immersive, to just feel like some kind of ecosystem, that instead of like a video game world where you fight against enemies and like all this and that. And the Downpour kind of strays a little bit away from that, and for some people that's like a big deal, where it's like, imagine what Downpour could have been if they stuck to that original feeling, and they stuck to the feeling of like not feeling like a game as much as possible. But it's probably like mostly inconsequential. Like I'm sure that like 98% of people just saw the cutscene and was like, oh, okay, that's the cutscene, that's like the ending, you know. Anyway, kind of short stream. I guess that's all. Yeah, all that I wanted to do. We pull down the drain. I really enjoy these speedruns probably a lot more than like normal speedruns with creatures, because I decided I would do these 2 speedruns, and then I did those 2 speedruns, and that was it. I managed to complete them both, even though if anyone wants to try Speedmaster, you're probably going to spend like hours before you get a like good run. I mean, of course, if you take shelters and if you are fine with dying, but you won't get a good run. You're not going to get a sub-hour run by doing that. Maybe like a death here or there, maybe. But I like being able to just like pick a category and do it. So maybe if I can come up with some more ideas for these like other speedruns we could try out, and maybe I'll look into those. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. See ya.